are you doing, Mike? Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Doing good. Thank you.
Doing good? Fine. Where are you physically right now?
I am at home. I live in Pennsylvania, in America. And
Great.
My last couple of days at home before the Winery Dogs tour begins.
Yeah, that's right. And you're soon about to land in Chile again. I think your last visit maybe were with the Sons of Apollo last year, wasn't it? I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and 2023 or 2023 comes after 7 years with this brand new record called Simply 3. I believe you say 3, right? What's new about it and what's different about this record?
Well, we're 7 years older than the last record, which is one dog year. So we're one dog year older. Okay.
Is that shorter or?
I don't know, but what's different about it? It's just where we're at now. We took a few years off to kind of catch our breath and reignite the flame. And once we got back together in 2021 to start this record, we were just rejuvenated. Having had a little time away from each other, it was just exciting to be playing again. And these are the 10 songs we wrote.
Mm-hmm. And how did the pandemic and this time apart make some influence on this new record?
Well, if anything, it kind of delayed it a little because we got back together in 2019 to play some shows in America just for the fun of it. And at that point, we knew we wanted to make a third record, so we were going to start it shortly after, and the pandemic kind of put this on the shelf for a little while until the smoke cleared, and then once finally we were able to get back together in person, we finally got to work. But yeah, I guess it delayed it a little bit, but that's about the extent of its effect on us.
And well, we've already heard Xanadu at the end of 2022 and recently Mad World, and I would like to ask you a little bit about the spirit behind these songs.
Well, do you mean like musically, lyrically?
Both of it. We can start lyrically first, and then we can go musically.
I'd rather not answer lyrically because they're not my lyrics. So really, I have no more right to be explaining them than you would. So that would be Richie that would have to kind of answer that. But musically, well, Xanadu, we wanted to have something that was very, very upbeat. A lot of riffs, a lot of unison parts. So, the spirit behind that song was to just have something very shreddy, and upbeat and funky. And once we put that song together, we kind of knew it would be a great first single and, kind of just reintroduce everybody to the Winery Dogs being back again. And then Mad World was more about like that rhythm and blues kind of soulful, almost has like a Motown kind of, vibe to it. So we were kind of going for that old school kind of, R&B kind of soulful thing. And Richie obviously delivers the vocals so great in that respect. It's something that's like a real strength of his, is kind of capturing that kind of vibe. But that's what we were going for. But every song the Winery Dogs write, we want there to be a lot of hooks, that we want the melodies to be very memorable and catchy, and the song, comes first. It's not like some of my other bands where it's always, all about this crazy musician stuff and a million time signatures and 20-minute songs. My other bands kind of do that stuff, but for the Winery Dogs, it's about just having a real solid, singable, memorable song. And each and every one of the songs in this album, I think, have that.
Yeah. And I think it's exactly what I feel and many people feel about the Winery Dogs, as you are all strong and very talented musicians. You are a very important band, and it sounds like simply rock and roll. So do you think that this is the essence of the band, rock and roll? Is this a soul little ingredient, or I don't know? I think it's a mixture of it.
It is. I think it's, of all the things I'm a part of, this is the most rock. It's not really metal. It's not really prog. It's just more of that kind of classic rock sound of the late 60s and early 70s. Bands like Zeppelin and The Who and Cream and Hendrix and Grand Funk. I mean, it's kind of rooted in that in terms of the playing. It's got that classic trio sound. Whenever you have a trio, it creates a very different kind of sound and energy. And that's what it's all about. And then Richie brings this kind of very soulful, funky, essence that he brings with the lyrics, with his vocals and everything. So yeah, it's really just a classic rock power trio.
Yeah, and looking at you and the big musicians you are, each one of you, I'm really curious about to know what do you have in common in the band? What's in common between you? I think about the particular energy you have with Billy and Richie when you play together.
Do you mean like influences like other bands, or like do you mean like the personal chemistry?
The personal chemistry and the influence. It's interesting.
The influences are kind of like, the ones I just named, really, all those classic rock bands. That's kind of where this band is rooted musically. But personally, I mean, playing in a trio is a lot easier than it is to play in a band with 4 people or 5 people. Once you add the extra people in the room, it's more opinions, it's more arguments, it's it's less musical space because you have more instruments playing. So really, when you're in a trio, it's a very personal sound. You're literally just hearing 3 people, which gives us all that much more space. But we get along really well. I think it's a lot easier with 3 people. It really is. And I think the 3 of us have a lot of mutual respect for each other from what we've done before the Winery Dogs. I think we all have proven track records individually. So when we get together, there's no egos. It's not like, well, my opinion's more important than yours. I think we realize the value of the Winery Dogs is all 3 of the elements, and we respect that.
And that's fantastic to hear. I'm just curious, was it Eddie Trunk that recommended Richie Kotzen as a singer and guitarist?
Yeah, it was, because Billy and I were initially working with John Sykes on something completely different. It was John's music, and it was a completely different project. But John just really, we couldn't really get him motivated to move forward, and Billy and I wanted to, work and play. So Billy and I eventually got impatient of waiting for John and said, let's do something else. And Eddie suggested Richie, and it was a brilliant suggestion and the perfect suggestion. Obviously, Billy and Richie had worked together in Mr. Big for a little while beforehand. And once the 3 of us got together, that's when the Winery Dogs was born.
And you have been working too with Billy. Well, maybe that's more recently, but anyway.
No, I was working with Billy before the Winery Dogs as well. We had a thing with Tony McAlpine and Derek Sherinian where we had we did a whole European tour and a whole Asian tour and some American shows. It was a thing with the 4 of us just playing music from all of our previous bands and albums, and a lot of jazz instrumental fusion stuff. So Billy and I had done that together, and Billy and I had also he played in my Who tribute band that I put together in 2006. It was Billy and Paul Gilbert and Gary Sharon. So yeah, he and I had done a bunch of things before the Winery Dogs together, but we hadn't really done like an all original band and writing music together, and we knew we wanted to. So that was where the Winery Dogs began for us.
And now it's time to hear you in Chile again. And how do you feel about this upcoming tour with the Winery Dogs to South America and Chile particularly?
We can't wait. I mean, the last time we played there, we filmed it for a home video and DVD live release. So
we're so proud.
So we have a real history with you guys, and we look forward to coming back. We can't wait. We're excited.
What do you recall from that time when you recorded? It was in kind of the beginning of the Winery Dogs history, when you played in that Teatro Cariola, I think it was, a little bit intimate with the name Dog Years live in Santiago and beyond through 2013 to 2016. So it was a short piece of time of the Winery Dogs. Do you remember that show particularly when you recorded it?
Well, I do. I remember it went really great. You know, you never know when the cameras are rolling if you're going to have a good night or a bad night. But I remember it was great. And of course, I remember the audience, you know, surely always is a big motivator. You know, if you have a great audience, you can have a great show. And Santiago is always a great audience. So it always pushes you and inspires you to have a good night. And I remember it was a great one.
Great. And I think it's going to be a great one this time, too. And, well, thinking about great times, we will never forget the first time we had you in Chile. I think it was the first time in 2005 with Dream Theater, with the Octavarium tour. It wasn't really expected to be such a huge audience, but the fans were really crazy. And I think it was at that point the biggest audience the band had ever had at this time. 20,000 people, I think.
I remember.
Anyway, you remember that?
Of course. I mean, that was my first time there. It was our first time there. It wasn't the biggest audience we ever played to, because we played many festivals where you get, you know, a lot of people, but it was the biggest, you know, show of our own, an evening with Dream Theater, where it was not a festival. And yeah, we we had no idea what to expect, and it blew our minds. We had wished we had brought, once we got up there and looked out there, it was like, fuck, we wish we had brought more amps. You know, we had this giant stage with nothing to fill. So, but yeah, it was a truly memorable first impression.
Yeah, and I think prog rock was taking a big impulse too after this time, and it was like a earthquake here in Chile.
Yeah, you know? I remember that as well.
Yeah, it was great, really great. I would like to ask you, as a drummer, I think you are probably one of the most inspiring musicians right now for so many kids. And it's not easy trying to play like you do, of course.
It is, actually. You'd be surprised. Think? Yeah.
Well, is there any recommendation for those kids who want to follow your steps?
Well, I see it. I mean, you know, you look on Instagram or YouTube, there's all these young drummers, and I mean young. I mean, I've seen like 6-year-old girls playing my drum parts, you know, on Instagram or whatever. So it's pretty incredible that the bar has risen so high with these young musicians and drummers, and they're all so talented. And I mean, what advice would I give is just try to learn as much as you can from as many people as you can, but also play with other musicians. As incredible as it is to see these young kids playing all of my crazy technical drum parts, it's, you know, that's obviously very impressive technically, but there's more to playing drums than just playing these parts. You know, anybody can kind of learn how to make your four limbs do something and do it. It's another thing to create parts like that. So play with other musicians, write music of your own. It's not just about playing your own instrument yourself to an Instagram followers. It's about playing with other musicians and creating music, and it's about how you utilize your instrument within the context of the bigger picture and the music you write. So that would be my advice.
Fantastic. I think they will be very grateful for that. All the kids. But it's even though a hard thing to achieve, I think. Yeah. I know you have been in Chile also with a lot of other projects. Well, the Winery Dogs and Avenged Sevenfold, I remember, the Shattered Fortress. And I'm probably missing some of your projects you have been playing in Chile with a bunch of time in different contexts. And, well, same as Billy and Richie, too, as part of the Winery Dogs. But I would like to ask you specifically, what is the best of playing with the Winery Dogs?
Well, I mean, like I already said, I really love playing with these two guys. They're two guys I really have a lot of respect for musically. So, you know, when you have that kind of respect, it makes it fun. You know, each and every time we get on stage, you know, it's an adventure. It's like a 3-ring circus with this band. So, no matter who you watch or listen to, you're going to be entertained. So I think it's a really special band in that sense.
Absolutely. This is the third record you're putting out also, now in February. So I guess we're going to hear some of the songs of this record. How is the show going to be a little bit?
Yeah, it's nice to now have 3 records where we can actually just make the whole show just Winery Dog stuff. Like on our first tour, we had to pad out the set list with maybe some covers or different things from each of our individual past. But now with 3 albums, it's a super strong set list, nothing but songs from all 3 albums, and it's a pretty equal balance between the 3. And we haven't started playing yet. The first show is next week. We start with an American tour, but the set list that I wrote is really strong, and I just can't wait to play. It's going to be great playing with these guys again.
Fantastic. And I would like to thank you so much for this interview, and ask you if you can say just a greeting to all of the guys in Chile who are waiting for.
Hey, it's Mike Portnoy, and I am here with Radio Futuro, and I cannot wait to be playing Santiago, Chile again with the Winery Dogs. We'll see you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All righty.
Great. Well, hope to see you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Have a nice trip.
All righty.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.